Good morning. What is up, Profitable Stylist? Here we go this week. We are talking about consultations and what are the right questions to ask in a consultation? What are the wrong questions to ask? It will really make or break the difference in your service. If you can control these couple of things early on, you will guarantee that you will have a profitable service. You'll be happy. The client will be happy. Everybody will be happy. Good morning, Bernard.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining the class.
Yeah, my plane just landed. I'm just kidding. What are we talking about?
So yeah, we're talking about consultations and what are the right questions to ask during a consult.
Yes, three. I got three of them. I'm going to cover
Okay.
in this podcast, guys chat, whatever we call it. Everything is new. I got a new computer. Everything looks different. I'm kind of getting used to it. Can't tell if I like it or not. I don't know. Love a new computer. Hate the new look. But when I do a consultation, okay, so this is 30 years in the making, right? When you first start doing hair and you got to do a consultation, you feel like you have to have all the questions, all the answers, all the information. And I think that's what makes most people nervous. I think most people get nervous because they think, first of all, they think sometimes the client might know more about what they want or need than I do. So immediately you close down, you get nervous. And the most important thing about the consultation is just the communication and the relationship. So with all of this in mind.
Well, do you think the first time going into a consult that the stylist thinks they got to know all the questions that they got to have? Because I think the big problem is nobody's got a plan before they go into a consult.
Well, no, you're right. And I think that's part of the problem. But I think that the biggest part of the problem is just the fear and the unknown. And it's just like making phone calls. Let's talk about that for a second. For the few that are like, oh, I do consultations fine. Could you do cold calling? Let's just go through some phone numbers and try to get
Hi,
people.
My name is Eddie. I am calling you today
because I need clients and hope you come. And most people say, I could never make cold calls. I couldn't walk into a strange business and try to get somebody to let me do their hair just out of the blue because it's kind of scary. Well, a lot of people feel just like that about a consultation. Person's walking in. I have no idea if I'm going to know how to do what they're wanting me to do. So immediately you start off nervous and scared. And so the face and the facial expressions are just fear. And I think that the most important thing to know, that's why I have just three questions, because I want to make it super simple, because I want to take away the pressure right away and say it's not about knowing what to say, because you don't need to know a lot. To me, it's three questions to get the client talking, like you said earlier. You need to listen more than you talk usually. Yeah. And that is it's freeing. It's less fear. And I think the most important thing is to take the fear out of the consultation. Take the fear out and just think of it as sitting with an old friend and just talking, kind of like we do here. We just talk each week. And I don't necessarily know what we're going to talk about when I show up. And that takes the fear out for me. Because if I knew ahead of time what it was.
It takes the fear out of you, puts it into me. Well, let me get my backpack on.
Yeah, because then I got to worry about it all week. I might have to do research. I already know most of this stuff because I've been teaching it for years. And that's the fun and what we do. So what I do when I teach classes and teaching the consultation, it started off with a much more complicated service, hair replacement or hair extensions. And I was like, God, it's very expensive. It's very unknown, complicated for some people. So I don't even know what people know about it. So that's what it was all born out of. And I thought the very first thing I should know about a person is who they are and where they came from. So I'm assuming I am going into this with a couple of assumptions that you looked on the appointment book and you know their name. So you at least should maybe greet them by their name, or at least say, hi, I'm Bernard. What's your name? Nice to meet you. That's all kind of just normal, natural greetings. Have a seat. Let's talk. How did you hear about me or us or the business or hair replacement or hair extensions? Or how did you hear about this balayage service you're already scheduled for? How did you hear about what we're going to be doing today? And that starts them off talking, but that's question number one. How did you hear about us? Because we're probably doing some kind of marketing or advertising or something right. Did a client good? So we should be getting referrals. So just asking how they heard about us. It's a bit of an icebreaker because it will just, for them, they might be a little nervous also. And it gets them to go from, oh man, I don't know if I'm going to feel comfortable today. I don't know how to ask for the things I need. I don't know how to explain what a ombre, balayage, color melt, two-step, this, these words. I'm not sure I know if I need the color melt, the ombre, you got all these words and people are a little confused about where the lines are on the color and the differences in the color. And so they get nervous too. And so it's just, how'd you hear about me? How'd you hear about us? And this way I'll know if I'm doing a little marketing on Facebook or I'm doing Miss Karen's hair really good. And they're all like, I saw Karen's hair at the thing. And you got like 3 people that week, all coming from that little one presentation Karen did somewhere, for maybe the local real estate group or whatever. And everybody's loving her hair and they're all asking and they're all coming in this week. You're like, Karen, your hair's on me next time.
You're right. Thank you
girl,
so
what
much.
are you doing? Thank you so much. I mean, what a great job. Maybe we do a few more before and after pictures. We do a little photo shoot with you. Let's put it a little further out there. Whatever it is, you kind of find out a lot in that first question. But again, it's an icebreaker. And many times it'll answer in that answer, they will answer the next 2 questions that I have. So I
love what you're saying about that. It really is important. The art of what we do, and just in human nature as well, and in any business class that you take about profitability and stuff, you gotta mirror. It's called mirroring the other person. And if you don't know what the other person's personality is in front of you, you may either come on way too strong or you may not come on strong enough. You may come up very weak. And if you don't nail it in the first 5, what is it? You got like 3 seconds or 5 seconds before somebody passes their first impression on you.
Well, there
and
you
if
go.
You miss that,
making
it's
me
rough.
nervous. I can't live up to all that, Eddie.
Right. So that's the whole thing. So yeah, asking that simple icebreaker question of how'd you hear about us? Where are you from? How'd you end up here? It's great because you can start gauging. You don't have to ask that in any particular way. It's very casual and matter of fact.
Right.
And then based on their response, you're going to be able to tell how timid somebody is versus how social somebody is.
Mood, no matter what. It sets the mood,
no matter what. I love it.
Yeah. So,
and you're right. They usually do start going into the next question, which is
everything. So I was going to ask something. And I keep losing it. Nico's watching us. Hey, Nico.
Hey, Nico.
Yeah. So asking that question, yes, it opens up so much. But oh man, I lost my train of thought. Oh, first rule of sales. Do you know? You've taken lots of sales training through the years. So have I. Many people have not. So do you know like that general rule almost all sales trainers talk about? People do business.
Well, like people do business with the people they like. So bonding and building rapport is key.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. So it's mostly, I just loved it. I love the shortest versions. People do business with people they like. I know that some people grow that sentence and make it longer. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. But to me, if you like them, that other stuff just happens. So if I like somebody and then they're selling something, I'm more likely to buy it because I like them. They could be selling something I want, but if they're not nice or friendly, I probably will not buy what I want from them and find somebody else selling the same thing. So doing business with people I like is key, and that's everybody. So if you're nervous going into the consultation or serious or don't have time to listen or look at them and listen to what the answer is when you say, how did you hear about me? And then they start talking, that right there, you're listening. They like you because you care. And that just sets the tone for everything. And so the second question, it's just a tiny bit more of what I've already asked just now. Depending on what service they're getting, I ask them to tell me more about the service they're getting and what they already know about it. So the thing is, it started with hair. It started with the beginning of the internet and hair extensions, and I'm starting to get people coming in knowing way more about how hair replacement or hair extensions works. And it used to be a lot more of a mystery, not a bit of a mystery, because people just didn't get how it worked. And so they'd come in, and I always knew I had to explain all the details. Then I started getting people coming in saying, I know exactly how it works. I saw it online. Oh, okay. So I realized, you know what? Let me let them tell me what they know about whatever. Then I translated it into color highlights, everything, because they come in and they say this word. I want a double backflip color balayage color melt. And I'll say, yeah, tell me more
Yes.
about that. What does that mean to you? Tell me, and then they start to, so you want hair, you want more hair on your head today. What do you know about that already? Tell me what you already know, so I don't retell you anything or bore you with any details. What do you already know about this double backflip color balayage color melt technique? And they start saying, oh, so you did a friend of mine's last week. And like, oh, that helps a lot. You say, I did Sandy's hair and you want it exactly like hers, or not as light or not as dark. I got an idea where the line is, how blended it is, what colors it was. And so already I'm getting more information. So for me, it's how'd you hear about me? Tell me more about that service you want. And then I can tell you more about it. And then you've got to deal with the money. The third one is the money. And there's a lot of ways to cover it. But to me, you've got to ask, I do it a little weird than most. And it comes from my fun, playful, sarcastic nature of doing lots of extension consultations, and accidentally at first prejudging little young teenage girl, probably just got out of high school, because we got a school right behind our salon, and coming like right at the time school lets out. So I'm thinking she's walking in, and she just walks in for consultation, and I do the first 2 steps. And the first thing I'm thinking is, you can't afford this. And I'm prejudging, and I know you're not supposed to, but this is years ago. And I said, she goes, how much are hair extensions? I said, what do you think they cost? So I started bringing that into all my consultations in a nicer way. But right then it was a little sarcastic, like, what do you think it costs? Like $50? And this time I was right. She says, oh, I don't know. I know they're real expensive, like $100 or more. And I thought, wow, $100 is relative, right? Some people
It
think
really is.
Some people think that's nothing. Some people think that's a lot. And so then I'd have people come in, and I would say, when they'd say, so how much are hair extensions? I said, well, I know you're asking me because you just said you did a whole bunch of research. You must already know, right? And they're like, yeah, but I don't know how much yours are. Right. And then there's so many. So you can clean this question up in so many ways, and I have. And one of the things I'll do is, when they go, how much are extensions? I'll say, how much are our extensions? Because you must know they range, right? And they're like, yeah. You've done a little research. You've done a few consultations with other people. Well, no, but I've looked online. Or yes, I have. And it's all over the place, but I heard you're the best, or whatever, And so I'll say, listen, I'm kind of curious for my own marketing. I love to know what the other side thinks, or what the other side does. My price is pretty much set by how much hair we need for your head. I got a price chart right here. It's not going to change by what you say, but I'm curious if you had to guess, what do you think? I mean, you found me for a reason. And a lot of times, like I'm saying during that first question, how'd you hear about me? Oh, I heard about you through Jane. You put extensions on her head, and I know it's about $1,500. And so a lot of times they answer the second and the third question. And so you don't even have to answer the next 2. And you'll say, yes, but Jane had short or long hair, so you'll need a little more or a little less. So it's going to be a little more expensive or a little less. It might be a little more expensive, or it might be a little less expensive. So you've got this, at least a baseline, and then you can go from there, a little more, a little less. But if I don't have that, and they're just like, I've just been looking online and it's so confusing, there's so much, I'll say, I know. And that's why I ask about price, because to me, price is the only gauge you have for quality. I know that low quality hair, low quality techniques are pretty cheap, and then high quality are very expensive. And do you even know what expensive means in this category? And so if you just throw out a price, I got an idea of like, first of all, can you even afford
Like where your mind is
high
at with
quality?
everything.
Where's your mind
Yeah.
at in this? Are you good? And many times they're like, I know, I think they're about $1,000. Is that right? And it's like, yes, okay, well, good. So at least we're on the same page here. And so now let's do some measuring. But when they're like, I don't know, a few $100, then sometimes I'm asking, have you ever bought a set of clip-in hair extensions? If you just go to the local beauty supply and buy clip-ins, you're usually, or Amazon these days, you're not going to buy a full set of clip-ins. I mean, they do have some really cheap ones now. Might be synthetic hair, but a cheap set of 100% human hair, even non-Remy, low quality human hair, is roughly $100 to $200, 150, 200. And that is crap hair. So most people are trying to get a little bit better and spending $200 or $300. But if they say, I don't know, I just thought extensions might be around $200 or $300, I'll say, are you looking for clip-in extensions? Because we do a more, then I get into a little bit of, well, there's a difference between daily wear and extended wear, or hair that you put in for yourself for a night, for a dance, for a few days maybe, and the kind that stay in for a few months that we take out and put back in. And we call it more of a permanent or semi-permanent technique. And is that what yes, I don't want to have to deal with taking them out and putting them back in. Well, that costs a little bit more. The hair has to be a little higher quality because you need it to not tangle. If hair's staying on your head 24 hours a day for a few months, it's better to use high. So you can go into these details if they don't know them, right? It's better to use a little higher quality hair. You don't deal with the tangling. You don't deal with the color fading issues. You don't deal with it coming out of your head. You don't deal with pain if it's done correctly. And with lower end, lower quality, you deal with a lot of problems and challenges. And that's where the bad name for extensions comes from. People using low quality and bad techniques. They will cause damage. And so that's another really fun one for me. I'm going to let you talk a little bit about your consultation, but then the most fun question I ever have, and we'll go into it in a minute, is in the consultation when they say, are hair extensions damaging? Oh my God. Why are you here? That's a fun one for me. But you got anything else on consultation?
Yeah,
you have a pattern.
I have that's exactly what I was going to mention. When I come in and greet the client, I generally greet them at the front desk or in the front waiting area in the front room. I don't immediately bring them back to my station on purpose. I actually greet them there. I'll say, hi, Bernard, or hi, Sally, whoever. And that's that first question. How'd you hear about us? I want them to give their testimonial right then and there in the front of the salon for everybody to hear. I want that bragging right, or I want that referral, that social proofing, as they refer to it as, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll actually stand there, and now we're both, because she stood up out of her chair and hi, and we shook hands and everything. So we're just standing there having a conversation, and talking with each other. After she gets through that first thing, and then like you said, sometimes they do go right into question 2 and 3. I want this, and I heard it's this much, and whatever, right? I learned this a long time ago, mistakenly. We have.
Isn't that how we learn everything?
I love making mistakes. I love making mistakes and learning from mistakes. I really do. We at the salon, we have liquor, we have coffee, we have tea, water. Like, we have an array of different types of drinks. We got juice and stuff, right? And depending on which shift is there working will dictate what the selection of available drinks we can offer, daytime versus nighttime, as it goes. Each time I see a client, they already have like a cup, they got like a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donut, or they got their own mug or something. I've just always assumed not to ask anything and offer anything, because I just figured they got a cup in their hands. Well, shame on me, mud on my face, or egg on my face, right? The client, one time, she was sitting there, she put her cup down, she didn't touch it for the entire service. And it wasn't towards the end of the service. She goes, I'm so sorry. Do you have any water? And I go, yeah, of course I do. She goes, I've had a headache. It's just been getting worse. I've been so dehydrated. And I'm thinking, woman, you have a cup in front of you. You ain't touched it. So I'm like, I didn't say nothing, right?
You
I went and
brought
got
an
her the
empty
water.
cup in?
What's that?
She brought an empty cup?
No, it was full of coffee, but the caffeine was giving her a head, like a high or something. I don't drink coffee, so I don't understand. You know,
Yeah,
even the
okay.
tea I drink is decaf, so I don't get it. But that stimulation was like messing her up or something. I don't know.
Right.
So even if I see somebody that has a cup, just be a gracious host.
Right. Ask if
Would
they
you
want
like
anything.
a cup of something? You know, would
Some
you like
people
a
like
cup
to
of?
say yes because they just like to be served too. So yeah.
And that's awesome. So then what I'll do is I'll say, okay, well, I'm going to get you a cup. In the meantime, let me walk you over to my station. Let me get you situated. So I'll walk her over. I'll hold the chair. And sometimes they'll sit down immediately and then they'll start putting everything away. Sometimes they'll start putting everything away. So then I'll lock the chair. I'll kick the stand, you know, the pump to lock the chair in place. And I'll be like, you know what? Get yourself sorted. I'm going to get you that cup. I'll be right back. This way, you're not awkwardly just standing there waiting for them to get themselves situated. Because, dear God, do some people spend a lot of time getting in the chair? And if you're a client watching, I don't understand what you're doing. Just sit down.
Do you hold the chair?
I hold the that's what I mean. Because sometimes I'd be
Oh,
holding the
because
chair.
that's how you know it takes so long.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, sit down already. How long am I going to
class.
awkwardly stand here?
I did a class in my salon yesterday about customer service, and I know we've done this before, but I took my stylist mentally on and conversationally through the customer journey, and that was fun because they had never thought. I let them pick the steps of the journey, and then other people fill in the gaps. I filled in the gaps. Like, wait, something happens before that, and one was getting in the chair and getting out of the chair. I mean, when you've been doing this long enough, you watch enough people step on the footrest and just spin out of that chair and do a split or a 360 or fall on the floor. One little girl in our salon broke her arm.
Oh,
She was sitting on the chair and she fell and her body hit the footrest across her forearm and broke her forearm.
that's
So
terrible
those chairs,
and hilarious. But yeah, I know exactly.
those chairs can be dangerous. And so it's like, I hold the chair. You're right. And some people are like, sit down.
That's what I've come to do now. I'll either hold the chair and they'll sit down, and then I'll kick the pump to lock it. I always lock it, or I'll lock it and I'll say, take your time, get yourself sorted, and then sit down whenever you're ready while I go get you that cup. When I bring it over, I'll never hand it to them directly. I always set it down in front of them on the station, because I've actually spilled people handing them a cup and the exchange, the handoff. I've goofed the handoff. Yeah. Some people grab it aggressively. Some people don't grab it at all.
And you're like, take it slow. Take it slow.
It's like a kid. 2 hands, kiddo. 2 hands. Hold it tight, you know.
That's funny.
So
That's
I'll always set it on the station. And as I set it on the station, that's when I'll make a decision. Am I going to stand up and they're sitting down and I'm looking down on them? Am I going to lean into my station so I'm kind of more level? Or am I going to pull up a chair so I could be sitting with them and we're doing more of an exchange? Because based on the initial, hi, how are you? I'm Eddie and you are, I kind of gauged their personality, and now I can mirror them a little bit better, you know?
Right.
So that's when I'll go into your second question as well, is what are you getting done today? And then they'll tell me, I got a picture. Anytime I see somebody got a picture, I'll be like, wow, that's really a cool picture. What is it about that picture that you are seeing? What are you seeing in that picture? What do you think you're seeing in that picture?
That's good, because they just see the end. I just like this one little color spot right here where it's black.
Seriously, I've had that.
I know.
I've had that. I said, I had a client tell me like this. She goes, you know, she showed me a picture of Beyonce. She's a singer. And she goes, you see this one highlight right there? I'm like, yeah. She goes, that's the one I want.
That color.
You want that one highlight, not the whole thing. You just want that one highlight. Yes. Okay.
That comes from experience. That's good. You're right. So you got it. It's just like when they verbally say, I want a whatever.
Yeah, I want balayage. I want this. I want that.
To you, right?
What does that mean to you? You know, what is it that you're seeing in there? And what does that look like to you? So yeah, they'll go through the whole thing. Now, as they're going through the whole thing, I'll do one of two things. I'll either sit there and communicate with them back and forth in front of them, or if I do go around, I never talk to somebody through the mirror. If I'm standing behind somebody, and I'll usually, if I'm sitting with them, I'll get up halfway through their talking. I'll grab my paddle brush, and then I'll start brushing through their hair. Because in one way, I'm kind of non-verbally communicating to them that we're going to move this thing along. I'm starting to prepare their hair. And then in another way, I'm kind of looking to see like, okay, you're asking a lot of things. Which part of your hair is this all going to go in? How much hair do you have? Do you even have enough hair? You know, and what are we doing? So there is a lot going on in that very short exchange, you know. When it comes to the money part, especially trying to close the sale on it, my way of going about it is, how often do you want to be coming in to keep this up? Have you thought about that? You know, or what is your lifestyle? Because that's another thing. It's not necessarily, you know, what do you do for work? It's more of how busy are you? Like that's my thing of, I don't say like, what do you do for work? I just say, how busy is your life? Because do you have time to be coming back in here? And how often do you have time to be coming back in here? That kind of gauges me with how organized they are, and almost gives me an idea of what kind of budget they're going to kind of be in, you know? Because if they're ready to come in often, what's that?
Do you talk about money at all?
Oh, I do. No, I do absolutely. But it's the very last thing I do. It's the very, very last thing I do. I want to make sure I lay everything out first before I hit them with the price. Because I want to make sure that it even makes sense to even get that far. I want to avoid awkwardness at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, people get referred and they know they're coming in. They know the price is going to be higher than the average person because they got to my chair. But at the same time, you still be surprised because just because your girlfriend, I only charged her $200, you know, doesn't mean I'm going to charge you that $200. You might have less hair. I might charge you less. You might have more hair. I might charge you more. I might like her better and I'm giving her a deal, or her situation might be different.
That's
you know,
legal?
Well, I don't, it is what it is. You do business with the people you like, you know?
Yeah.
But there's so many things going on, you know, there's so many things going on.
So our moderator says, how do you know when to ask for the sale?
Because at that point, you're going to get that feeling after you're going through these questions, asking about their lifestyle, asking about why it is what they want, asking about what inspired them and how they came about this look to be, like why they decided on this look. Especially, is this their that's another thing. Is this your everyday look, or is this a holiday? Meaning, is this like you have some event coming up that you're preparing for? And then after that event, you're no longer going to want this hair anymore. And I'm not just talking about hair extensions.
Right.
A lot of women will get married and start growing their hair because they want long hair for the wedding, but they absolutely hate long hair. And they can't wait till they get back from the wedding to chop all their hair off.
That's fun.
Yeah. So is this a temporary thing, or is this a long-term thing? Like, what are you looking to, like, for how long are you looking to accomplish? Once you get all this information, at that point, you're about 2 to 5 minutes in. You're going to get a feeling for that person, and you're going to see if this is a fit for you and you want to move forward with doing this person's service, or this is not a good match and you're going to refer her to somebody else. You know, at that point, I'll go say, oh, let me get Bernard and introduce you to Bernard. I think he could really do this thing that you're asking about better.
Because I'm done with you. So when RJ's asking, how do you know when to ask for the sale? You know, that's kind of, I don't even know what word to use. But if we're talking about regular salon services, I think that's actually a problem. Most people don't even ask for a sale. They just go straight. They just assume they're doing the person's hair, and they just find out what they want, and then they just start doing the service. And they don't ever talk about the money. And then at the end of the service, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours later, the dollars are racking up. You did a full day of crazy, crazy long, full, thick hair, ombre balayage 5-6 hours later. And you're like, that'll be $475. Right. And the guy's like, you never said. It kind of got a point there. You never talked about money and you just assume. So to me, that's why the third question is like, who are you? How'd you hear about me? Tell me more about that service you want. And now let's talk about money, because you might tone that whole service down a little or up a little according to what I know a lot of people like to say, what did you budget for your hair? That just sounds so stupid to me. No, nobody budgets for their hair. Budgeting to me brings a person, all right, so to think about money with people in the salon, I don't think that, well, let's do this first. People spend money two different ways: emotionally, and what's the other word? Logically. Yeah. And I don't think that the money spent in a salon on hair is a logical decision. It's more the emotional. It's more for a desire, for fun. So to me, when you say, what did you budget for your hair? I think that word budget turns me into an adult immediately. And I have to think logically. And I'm like, oh, budget. I should not be spending any money on my hair. Let's just, you know? And so I don't want to use words that bring people from the fun, desired, emotional side of having fun in a salon.
Did you have somebody logical yesterday? Is that what happened?
We had to give a refund yesterday because it wasn't talked about. It took too long. There were so many things that were done wrong. In my opinion, I wasn't here. You know, God bless the hairdresser coming in on the holiday, on the 4th of July. Some hairdressers took off. This one came in, but she's used to working with more assistants. And so she bit off a little more she can chew. And so she said yes to too many clients and probably said yes to too much service on this client. Probably should just reschedule the client altogether, but trying to make all the money you could possibly make and didn't do what needed to be done. There's a lot more going on here, so let's not talk about this one specifically.
Yeah, sure. I'm
still dealing with this problem is evolving as we speak. But I called the lady personally, super nice lady, and asked what the conversation was, what the expectations were, and there was some miscommunication on both sides. Everything could have been handled better from the client and from the hairdresser. And just me calling and talking to this person, that's a customer service that a lot of salon owners could be doing to alleviate, because we won't get a bad review now because she was so happy. I called her, we talked, we figured it out. I said, we're refunding you right away. Let me just say that right away. Immediately, just a little bit, I'd know you should not have had to pay. You don't even have what you want yet. The hairdresser said your hair doesn't look right yet, but we'll fix it, finish it, complete it in a few days or whatever schedule worked out for both of them. Well, then why don't we wait till then to charge her,
Yeah, right.
I guess they figured if I charge today, I can make the money now, fix it later. The client has to come back. No, the client can ask for money back is what happened. And now you wasted your time working on her because she wasn't happy. So what was my whole point? Talking about the money.
The budget versus logical. Yeah, I mean the emotional versus logical.
So what did you budget for your hair today? Well, nothing, because I don't even budget for my whole freaking life. What do you mean budget? Don't be using my parents' words on me right now. I just want to come here and have some fun. Mom says, dad says I should be budgeting more about everything, So how much do you normally spend on your hair, or what, especially if they're not your client, it's something new. And so it's like, what do you normally spend for this? Or where do you normally go to get this? Is this the first time for you? There's a little bit more than the haircut, some kind of words to ease it in and explain to them after they say what they want. And then you say the price, it can be a standard price. That's $250. Well, then you can see, you don't even have to ask if that's too much or too little. You can see it in their eyes. Come on. If it's too much, it's like,
you're right.
You're like, and then you can say,
it's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Let me just get all my stuff and take it with me.
Yeah, take my cape off. I'm gonna carry my purse and my drink.
Here's your coffee bag.
Here's your coffee bag. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'm gonna go get some money out of my car.
You're right.
So you can see it right away, and you can adjust. And you say, "Listen, you asked for a lot. What you want to do is a lot. I have some ideas that can be a lot less than that, can give you a similar look. We can do a partial. We can do some things that just kind of show around the face and in the top, because all that hair on the back and underneath barely shows anyway. So we don't need to spend that extra hour doing stuff to this hair underneath that is pretty already, and just give you something over the top. And, you know, there's so many options of toning down in time and money and what it takes for you to do. So you have that conversation. With extensions, a lot of times it's similar, because
I make the girls give two choices, like the younger stylists at the salon.
yeah,
I always force them to give two options. One is the expensive option, and one is the lower option,
that's
like the cheaper option.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
and
a
then
good
let the
idea.
client decide somewhere in between.
Yeah, do you want to look real good or mediocre? No, I'm just kidding. No, that is a great idea, because I don't know if they think of it like, some of them will think of it like that and be like, I want the more, because obviously paying more makes me look better, you know. And then some people are just happy to have that cheaper option. That's an interesting concept. I've never thought of giving two options.
Well, because if you're, especially for a newer stylist, and if you're working in a higher salon, like a higher end salon,
yeah,
this is where I came up with this one from. We had a young girl. She was 22, I think, 21, 22 years old, something like that. Just as fresh out of beauty school and everything. And she goes, yeah, I'm going to start with the assisting program. You know, I said, all right, well, you know, I was told that your starting prices are going to be about $65 for a haircut. $65? I'm like, yeah. And if you're doing that you know, then we're going to start you off in about an hour block, but really, I'm going to be training you towards a 30-minute, 45-minute block, you know, like you'll have the ability to do it in 30, but we're going to really get you down to a 45-minute block. She goes, I'm going to be making $65 an hour. That's insane. I can't do that. Who said you can't? Who out there told you you're not allowed to, you know? So we started off with, you know, you could do this much for 45, you could do this much for 65. And that $20 difference to this kid was like the whole world. And she's so confident that now she upsells everybody. She thinks she's upselling everybody into the $65 haircut, but that's her standard haircut. Like, she's so goofy. You know? So that's where that thing came up from. But then it leads into what you were probably about to bring up about the hair extensions.
Go ahead. What do you think about extensions?
I mean, it's usually I can afford. How much hair can you put in for this much money? I can afford this much money. You know, it's like, well, we should put in 120 strands in your head, or 150 strands in your head, or you really need two wefts, but I can afford one. You can make it look the same with one, can't you? Can't you stretch it? I'm like, how am I going to stretch one weft into two? It's one weft. You know, like, I don't understand you. Or I need 150 or 120, but you only want me to use 100. Where am I supposed to magically poof the other 20 to 50 strands from? Like, I don't understand you. Too many stylists will get nervous because they're afraid to
do it anyway with the less hair and look terrible. Yeah. So you're right. There is a little margin of, you can make it look pretty good with good placement, which is going to be one of our future videos in the next few weeks. As far as, I think the title is something about people. I don't know the exact. Do you know the title? It's something about people who know how to do extensions. What is it? The difference of knowing it and actually doing it. Yeah, it's like the difference of being certified in hair extensions and knowing how to do hair extensions.
Extensions. Yeah.
Knowing, I guess, could be the certification. Like, you got certified, you know how, but do you really know how? You know, and to me,
no, it's the opposite. You never were certified.
Yeah, well, I think
you never did take a full training, a hands-on training.
I think, right, even certified is a level, and there's more levels, because you don't learn anything without experience. So getting certified is a level of experience. So yes, you're better off than not getting certified. But even then, some people will do their first head. And I'm pretty impressed with most people. They understand it's going to take a few to get it right. I'm going to practice a little bit on a friend, a daughter, whatever, somebody else in the salon. I'm going to do it on my mannequin a few times. But I'm always disappointed with those one or two a month, it seems like, that are like, something's wrong with your hair. Nothing's going right. And I put them on my first client. Keywords right there. Your first client. You expect to be good on your first client. Come on. Were you good at your first haircut? Were you good at your first highlight? Your first cut? All of this stuff takes practice. So that's why our two most popular videos on this channel are hair extension haircuts and hair extension placement patterns. Because most people, it should be the other way around, but people don't realize it's their sorry placement that is screwing up their haircuts. So they keep trying to cut and create something where there is nothing because they didn't put the hair in the right place. So if you don't put hair in the right place, you can't cut it into existence. And that just drives me crazy. So placement, being known that placement pattern makes a difference, there is a little margin of you can use a little bit less hair and get a better look if you put it in the right places. And I say there's areas that are like the first places that you should put hair extensions to make them look better than anything, and then fill in the middle. And so for me, forget placement pattern for just a second, and let's talk about with a client. Many, many times they can have hair down to here, but it's like 3 or 4 strands of their own hair that's reaching the middle of their back, and they think they want or need length. But the fact is, if you just thicken their hair up to the exact same length they have, they'll feel like they got length. It'll look so much better. And that is when you don't need length, but it looks like you got length. Then you can use a lot less hair. And that's a big secret that people don't realize with hair extensions, is that if you can, undersell the length and oversell thickness, and explain to a client when you look at their hair, and you know what, ma'am, with your bleached blonde hair, you have 3 strands that reach right down to here. Because when you're not adding length, there's no lines of demarcation with cut, style, or color. You could have the complete wrong color in there, a completely different color, and all it adds is a dimension. It adds color, it adds depth, or it adds highlights or lowlights that kind of veil through because they're peeking from underneath. But as soon as they go from underneath, they go longer than your hair. There's the problem, and that's why you need more hair. So I have found that I'm able to get extensions sold at lower price points when I hear that the budget, that word I hate, is much lower than they think extensions cost a lot less than they actually did. And I'll say, you know what? There's a couple of steps in my mind with extensions. Many times, forget everything I just said about length in the back. It's just the sides are gone. They have that haircut that too many hairdressers have been chopping bangs and swoop bangs and side bangs, blending. Jennifer Anderson blending to the face back when Friends was super popular. And they've just wiped out the sides, but then it goes real long in the back, in the middle. It's real V'd, and they see short hair, but they have long hair, or medium hair. And so if you just put the smallest amount of hair on the sides and lengthen it, again, you didn't actually lengthen hair. You filled in the sides for a lot less money, a lot less hair. And all of this grows into more because they start doing those things that the know, like, and trust stuff. Do we have questions over here I'm missing? I don't know.
No, you got it.
Listen more than you talk. I think you might be talking to me, but so
eat a pretzel. This is why you have pretzels.
It comes in steps. Yeah, so I'll shut up every once in a while. To me, it comes in steps. Sides are the fastest, easiest, cheapest way to add some extensions to somebody's head and market yourself, fix a problem, make somebody happy, feel and look different, because that's what they see right here, right? And then going a little further than that with a little bit more hair, just to the same length that they have, thickens all of the hair and the sides, and maybe adds a color, higher or lower than their color. And then the
You-
third step would be a full head of adding length and thickness. So there are options other than adding length. I know the word extension just screams out, make me longer, but that's the word we're stuck with in this industry, when we should have named it something else. But I think that was the sexy term that people wanted, like, oh, make my hair longer. And so extensions took off as the term that we use. But the most successful extensionists have way more customers getting color, highlights, lowlights,
fullness, and
cut fixes, blending in just the sides, or just making it a little thicker. And adding length is the small part of the business.
I'm about 80%, 20% length, 80% thickening, fulling, color dynamics, dimensions, things like that, accent pieces, framing, especially face framing for style. 20% of the extensions I do is for length. I really don't do a lot for length. And it's not because I don't want to do it. I just don't care. I don't want to sit. Well, no, I don't want to do it. Actually, I take it back. I don't want to sit there and spend 2-3 hours doing a whole head of hair for length. I'd rather spend.
You must be doing those keratin bonds. It doesn't take that long with the wefts.
Well, so I'll tell you what, I did 2 wefts, and I did 2 wefts. I did 2 on-stage wefts and 2 packs of she hair in an hour and a half yesterday. The removal, the reinstall, like the move up on the wefts, take out the 2 packs of she hair and then put in 2 packs of she hair.
Yeah,
I did it all in an hour and a half yesterday.
Well, that's good.
Last night. So, I mean, yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And that's where my money is made. My money is made in that. It's not sitting there doing a whole entire head all day, every day, and that's the beauty of it. Another question to ask is, how do you part your hair?
Oh, yeah.
How and where do you part your hair? I always goof that. Do you always mess that up? I always mess that up.
I don't, but I might be going a different way than you are with it. But since you've said that, I got to go in a minute because I got a client here in a few minutes. I don't do hair behind the chair anymore, but I got an old friend of mine that losing a little hair and wants me to blend a wig in for her. And so I said, yeah, come on in right after the live. She's probably waiting for me. But when you say the part, this is one that is a bit of a pet peeve for me. You're going to see me get a little pissed off about this one, because it's so frustrating to me. What side do you part your hair on? I like to go both ways. Well, you can't. And I don't know why I lose my temper. And I'm like, well, you can't. Which side? You pick a freaking side.
Left, right, middle. Left, right, middle. You get
side, pick the middle. And they're like, well, I like to have options. I like to have choices. I said, well, you're not gonna for the next 3 months. I did get a little, it's so ridiculous. I guess it happens so often that I started getting mad about it, and I got tired of explaining the same thing.
I was not expecting this. This is awesome. I wish I had popcorn right now.
Well, the thing about it is, I've gotten so good with placement that I know that one of the secrets to hair extension looking good is placing them higher on the head than most people will. And if they want that freedom to just part anywhere up here, well, now they want, like, I sometimes part here, or anything, we're in the middle. So now my extension placement is limited to here. And if they part over here, I'd like to put some hair up on the head here, but they're limiting me there. And I got a little tricks I'll talk about even for that thing that pisses me off in another placement, 2 guys chat. But I've learned to calm down, because I don't know why. It just irritates me, because to me it was like it was a left, right, or center answer, not a all over the place. We gotta choose one. I don't know why it would make me so mad, but I was like, so what side do you part on? Both. You can't. I said, oh, do you? That's like the little thing going on inside my head. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. You're not.
Do you give him the Southern bless your heart?
Oh, bless your heart. No, I don't. But I'm like, so you won't be able to. It would be better if you chose a side, because I get, it depends on how long your hair is too. If they have longer hair, they can do that, and I go with it. But I'm like, they'll look a lot better and blend a lot better if you choose a side. You can have these extensions in for next couple of months or more, and it'd be better if you chose what side you like to part on, because I can make them look a little better, a little more blended, because I can get into some areas I can't if you just part all over the place, and they're like, oh, and they're usually nice about it. Like, oh, okay, well then I'll part. I'd like to part on this side. But some are just adamant about, I really just kind of flip it this way, and then I flip it this way, and I'm like, I want to just take it away from them. Well, then extensions are not for you,
You can't have this.
You can't have them. I refuse. No.
I love it. I think that's
what say about the part. What do you get wrong? You don't know what a right part or a left part is?
I just can't remember.
What do you mean remember? Like when they say it, you lose it?
During the consultation, you decide like we're going to style your hair this way, and then we're going to do it like this, and then you proceed, you start doing the service, you get towards the end, you're finishing up, and then you get to the top of the head, and you're like, the hell did she say? I don't recall. Did she want it this way? Did she want, and then, you pull the hair back and the hair naturally falls like that. So you're going with what the hair wants. Right. And then she's looking and she goes, no,
that's not the way I do my hair.
This way. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I see what you're saying. Yeah. Through the years, that always happens. I love to see that.
When it comes to hair extensions, I agree with you 100%. Outside of hair extensions, though, it does get a little tricky, because if it's not a hair extension client, if it's a haircut or a color client or something, then, you don't have hair extensions to kind of guide you with which way you're going with it. Yeah. I don't know why. Am I the only one that can't remember which side somebody parts their hair when they're not getting hair extensions? Let me know.
Yeah, in the comments. Oh, I hear it in the salon all
some
the
of
time.
The consultation questions that you all ask,
Yeah, well, I'd love to know the consultation questions you guys ask. Please put those in the comments, and you got to help us subscribe. So many of you guys just watching, you don't subscribe. It doesn't hurt you to just press that little subscribe button, maybe the bell, maybe a like. Comment would help a lot. I'd love to know if anybody has a little trick to their consultations, if there's just one or two questions they're asking that I've never thought of.
Share them along. Comment section usually comes up with some gold, and I love reading the comments.
I'm going to cut some hair. Goodbye, Eddie.
You have fun. Catch you all next week.
Bye.